All right, let's dive in. Today we're going way back to King Solomon's time. His big temple project. It's all laid out in 1 Kings chapter
Yeah.
6. But get this, it's more than just ancient history, right? We're going to see how it can still help us build amazing things in our lives, even thousands of years later,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, absolutely.
So get ready, because this ancient blueprint is full of surprises.
What's really amazing to me is the level of detail we get about the temple's construction.
Right.
It's almost like we're right there watching them work.
I know, right? Like, we're not just talking about some shack here.
Yeah.
The text gives us the exact dimensions, 60 cubits long, 20 wide, and 30 high. I mean, can you imagine the scale of that thing?
It's huge.
And then there's the materials. They used tons of cedar wood and gold, no holding back.
And they didn't choose those materials just because they looked fancy.
Right.
I mean, each one had a symbolic meaning.
Oh, interesting.
Like cedar wood, it's really durable and smells great. It represented strength and purity. And then there's gold. Well, that's divine glory.
Yeah.
So,
Majesty. They planned every little detail to create a structure that showed the sacred purpose of the temple.
I mean, the craftsmanship is mind-blowing, right? The Bible even talks about these intricate carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers on the wall.
Yeah.
Talk about attention to detail.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder why they put so much effort into it. Like, every single element is perfect.
I think it really shows how dedicated they were. They understood how important the temple was.
Right.
This wasn't just any building, It was going to be where God lived among his people. It was at the very heart of their covenant.
Oh, wow.
They knew that the building itself reflected their relationship with God.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
you know what else blows my mind?
What's that?
It says that there was no sound of hammers or axes during the construction. Isn't that wild?
It's amazing.
All the stones were prepared somewhere else, like a giant puzzle, and then they brought them to the Temple Mount to put it all together.
It's really cool how they did that.
I know. And that silence wasn't just about keeping things quiet, it was symbolic.
Oh, I see.
Preparing the stones beforehand showed that the real work, the spiritual preparation, has to happen first.
So it's like saying get your heart and mind right before you even start.
Exactly.
Wow. That's deep. It makes you think about how we rush into things,
We do, don't we?
without doing the groundwork first, both practically and spiritually.
It's such a timeless lesson. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a big project, starting a business, or even just working on a relationship.
Right.
That inner preparation is crucial. It's about figuring out your intentions, what you value, and making sure your actions line up with your beliefs.
Yeah, I like that. So it's about making sure you're solid on the inside before you start building on the outside.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important part of the story, God's message to Solomon during the construction.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about that. It's like a turning point in the story.
It is. God reminds Solomon that obeying his commands is much more important than how fancy the building looks. It's like a reminder that true devotion goes beyond rituals and appearances.
So it's not about how big the building is or how expensive the materials are, right?
Right.
It's about what it's built on, the values, the integrity, and how it connects to a higher purpose.
That's a great way to put it, and that's what makes this story so relevant to us today. It's not just about ancient buildings. These principles, dedication, preparation, and sticking to your values, they're timeless and universal.
So how do we take these ancient principles and actually use them in our lives today? What does it look like to build a life that really embodies these values? I'm so curious about that.
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to explore next. We'll look at some practical ways to use these lessons in our own building projects, whether it's our careers, relationships, or even just our own personal growth.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Let's keep diving in then. Okay, so let's dig into another fascinating detail from 1 Kings chapter 6. Get this. It took them a whopping 7 years to finish the temple.
7 years.
7 years.
That's crazy. I mean, that's longer than most people spend in college.
I know, right?
It really puts our modern obsession with speed into perspective.
It does. We're all about instant gratification and quick fixes these days, but building something truly great takes time, patience, and serious commitment.
Yeah. Think about it. Those temple builders weren't chasing fads or taking shortcuts. They understood how important it was to build a solid foundation and stick to their vision, even if it felt slow.
Right. They were in it for the long haul. It's a powerful lesson for us,
Right.
Anything worth having in life takes dedication and perseverance.
Totally.
Whether it's a personal goal, learning something new, or building a strong relationship, you have to embrace the journey and trust the process.
It's like planting a seed.
Exactly.
You have to nurture it patiently, knowing that it takes time to grow into a strong and beautiful tree.
That's a great analogy. And that brings us to another important point, the power of having a purpose behind your goals. This wasn't just some random building project. Every single part of it was connected to this deeper meaning to create a place for God to dwell, a symbol of their covenant. You can just imagine the motivation and sense of meaning that gave the builders.
I bet. But how do we find that kind of purpose in our own lives?
hmm
We're not building temples, but we all have things we're working towards, right?
We do, and I think the key is to connect those efforts to something bigger than ourselves,
Okay,
something that resonates with your values and makes you want to strive for something more.
I like that.
It could be a spiritual calling, a desire to make a difference, or even just a commitment to personal growth.
So it's about having a why that goes beyond the immediate task.
You got it. When you have a clear purpose, it gives everything you do more meaning, and it keeps you going when things get tough. Speaking of working together, let's not forget the incredible teamwork that went into building the temple.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a one-man show.
Uh,
They needed skilled workers, materials, and resources from all over the place. It really shows you the power of teamwork and how important each person's contribution is.
It's mind-boggling when you think about the logistics of coordinating a project like that back then. They had to have a shared vision, great communication, and be able to use everyone's strengths to their advantage. And that's still so relevant today.
Totally.
I mean, whether we're working on a project at work, building a community, or even just helping a friend in need, recognizing the value of teamwork can make a huge difference.
It's all about understanding that we don't have to do everything alone.
Exactly.
When we find others who share our vision and contribute our own skills and ideas,
Yeah,
we can achieve so much more together.
absolutely.
Like everyone brings a piece of the puzzle,
Mhm.
and when you put those pieces together, you create something amazing. Just like those ancient builders who came together to create something that still inspires us today.
That's beautifully said. It truly speaks to the enduring power of collaboration. Now, I bet you're wondering how all of this connects to strengthening our faith in the modern world.
I was just going to ask you that. We've learned so much, but how do we take these ancient lessons and apply them to our spiritual lives?
Well, let's explore that further as we head into our final segment. We'll see how these principles can help us build a more resilient and meaningful faith in today's world.
Okay, so we've gone deep into the details of Solomon's temple, and wow, there's some timeless wisdom in there. But how do we actually use those lessons to strengthen our faith today? Like, what does it even mean to build a temple for our beliefs in the 21st century?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? You see, the temple back then wasn't just a building. It was a powerful symbol of the Israelites' covenant with God. It was a physical representation of their dedication to their faith. So the temples we build today, whether it's our lives, relationships, communities, they should reflect our own values and principles, you know?
I think I get what you're saying. It's not about actual construction, but about building a life that's true to what we believe in.
That's it. And remember how the temple builders planned everything out so meticulously before even laying a single stone? We need to build that same kind of strong foundation for our own spiritual growth.
So where do we even begin? Like, what does that foundation look like practically?
Well, it might mean setting aside time for prayer or meditation, maybe studying some sacred texts, or even seeking guidance from a spiritual mentor. It's about making space to reflect and deepen that connection with your faith.
It's like taking the time to prepare those stones before we even start a building,
Yeah.
right? Making sure our foundation is solid.
Exactly. And remember how much those builders focused on excellence in every little detail of the temple?
Huh.
We can do the same for our spiritual lives.
I see. So it's not just about those big displays of faith, but about the everyday choices we make, the small acts of kindness, being honest and compassionate. Those little things all build up to create a life with real meaning, right?
That's exactly it. It's all those little choices that come together, like the details in the temple carvings, each one contributing to the overall beauty of the structure. And remember, it took them 7 years to build that temple. Building a life of faith also takes time, patience, and you have to keep going even when things get tough. Those challenges are actually part of the process. They help our faith grow deeper.
Just like those builders, right? They faced all sorts of obstacles, but kept going until they created something truly incredible. And you know what? We don't have to face those challenges alone, do we?
You're absolutely right. Remember, the temple project was a perfect example of collaboration. Our faith communities, mentors, anyone who shares our values, they can provide that support and strength when we need it.
Yeah, it's like we're all working on this massive building project together, each bringing something unique to the table to create something much bigger than ourselves.
What a beautiful thought. And just as those ancient builders left behind a legacy that still inspires us today, we can also pass on our faith and values to the next generation.
Wow, this deep dive into 1 Kings chapter 6 has been eye-opening. It's amazing how these ancient lessons can still be so powerful for us today.
It really shows how timeless the wisdom in these sacred texts truly is.
So as we wrap up today's exploration, I want to leave you with this question. What are you building in your own life? A relationship? A personal goal? Or maybe it's your connection with your faith. Remember, it's not just about what you create, but the values and principles you build upon. Just like that temple symbolized the Israelites' covenant with God, let the things you build reflect what's most important to you. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep building, keep seeking, and keep the faith.